The world of Red Dead Redemption 2 can be a very mysterious place. In a previous video, I told the tale of a young couple who were very much in love and how they met their demise on the same night during a stroll through the woods of Roanoke Ridge. But it would seem that this wouldn't be the only tragedy to be followed by paranormal activity. Many who have travelled through the swamps of the Bayou just north of the city of Saint Denis, specifically during nightfall, are said to have heard the ghostly cries of a young lady calling out for her lover. And today, I intend to investigate this apparent haunting. If you enjoyed today's content, please hit like and subscribe, and be sure to turn on notifications to be the first alerted every time a new video is produced. You're listening to Phil of Philby Gaming, and welcome to today's tale. Alone. The Cries of the Bayou. Our story begins after the discovery of a graveyard behind Shady Bell. Many of the graves are marked, but one in particular, much more detailed than its surrounding headstones. It reads the following: Agnes Stout, aged 19, tragically took her own life and others on September 4th, 1883. May she rest in peace. The neighbouring grave belonged to one Joseph Charlesworth, who died some years before. I didn't think this was of much importance, but it may give us some insight. More on that later. What intrigued me the most was the fact that Agnes Stout was very young, but according to her grave, she not only took her own life, but others too. What was the story behind this? The statement of her taking her own life led me to the ghostly cries that people claim to have heard in the Bayou. Most accounts would tell that these paranormal experiences would occur often during the very late or very early hours, and would always be on foggy nights. So I headed to search the area. One of the sights I came upon was a tree, right on the riverbed. Hanging from one of its branches was a bundle of rope. We can tell by its form that this rope had formerly been used as a noose. This area of the Bayou was rife with dangerous people. One group of people, both known and feared, was the Night Folk. This terrifying gang would take pleasure in capturing innocents and stringing them up as bait with the intention of luring more victims in. At first, I thought this was their doing. That was until I decided to visit the surrounding location during one foggy night. I heard the following in the distance. This ghostly sound didn't line up with a lady who was so depressed that she would take her own life. It didn't make sense. I decided to revisit the location once again a few nights later to see if I could gather any more information and make sense of this tale. It was here that the tone of the situation would take a turn. It seems her lover had changed his mind about their relationship. This would leave the young lady heartbroken.
I miss you. I miss you so much. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting. I love you.
Sometimes the spirit would appear in full form. Other times it was just her voice. I would continue to visit the area whenever I could, always during foggy nights. The lady's voice would become increasingly angry towards her former lover, and emotions would show strong. She wanted answers.
But what am I to do? I gave you everything. Everything I had. No one will have me now. You said all them things. You said all them things. thought he was a gentleman. Gentleman, indeed. You were just a hillbilly white trash like my mama always said.
During one of these ghostly encounters, I finally had some answers as to why the gentleman had left this young girl.
I always loved you. I always loved you. She never loved you. She never did.
The man had left her for another woman, but why couldn't she just move on? She was still very young and had her whole life ahead of her. What was keeping her tied to this relationship? Well, once again, after continuously revisiting the spirit, more answers were revealed.
You love me. Really, I know you do. Come back to me. He looks just like you. Just like you. I left him for you. I left everything.
The girl had fallen pregnant, and her family was furious, and in turn, her lover would leave her for another woman, leaving the girl all alone. The girl's parents disapproved of the gentleman and wouldn't hesitate to inform their daughter of their feelings towards him. The girl was still heartbroken and desperately wanted her lover back.
Come back to me. He's going to come back to me. Honest. He will do. I just know he will, Mother. I just know he will.
This would cause a rift between the family, where the girl would begin to defy her parents and become rebellious towards them.
Daddy, don't say that, Daddy. You're gonna make me cry. Ow! Leave, Daddy.
Eventually, the man would return to her, with the hopes of beginning a new life as a father and possibly a future husband. The young lady would quickly forgive him and welcome him back with open arms. But the girl's parents would refuse to accept this. This would lead to tragedy. The girl's father would kill her lover, leaving her alone and her newborn son fatherless. She was once again heartbroken, now for a second time. The stress of all of this would take its toll on the girl's mental state, eventually causing her to break down and finally lose her mind.
I think I might lose my mind. Lose it finally and forever.
Her next actions aren't exactly clear, but the information upon the gravestone of one Agnes Stout may give us some answers. It stated that the girl took her own life and others. Did the girl, acting out of anger for her father's actions, take revenge on her parents by murder before choosing to take her own life shortly after? The ghostly visits in the Bayou would appear in a random order, but I was able to piece together the full story. Agnes Stout would meet up with her partner, always by an old tree in Blue Water Marsh. The relationship was kept a secret from her parents. That was until she fell pregnant and couldn't keep it a secret anymore. Her partner would seem to panic about the situation they were in and left her to be with somebody else. Feeling alone, the girl would confide in her parents, telling them everything, but they didn't take it quite as well as she thought. They were furious, not only about the lies, but the fact that her lover had abandoned her, leaving her a single mother at just 19 years of age. They believed that no man would want her now, and she would spend the rest of her life alone. Even when the gentleman came back to try and make things right, this wasn't enough for Agnes's father to forgive, and acting out of anger, he would end the young man's life by gunshot. Now she truly was alone. After finally losing her mind, the girl would take the lives of her parents before taking her own by hanging from the same tree where she would meet her son's father. The only thing we are unsure of is what became of her child. Visiting the tree in the swamps for the very last time, the girl seemed to recognize that Arthur had been watching her all this time, and seemed to mistakenly take him for her former lover.
Hey, stranger. I know you've been watching me. Come, meet me in the swamps by our tree. Come to our tree. I'll be waiting. I love you.
Upon her final disappearance, the rare Lady Slipper exotic flower would be placed at the base of the tree. Who knows what this may signify? If we take a look at the appearance of Agnes Stout, she presented herself very well, showing that the family were pretty well off. So why was she buried to the rear of Shady Bell among the swamps instead of the impressive graveyard in Saint-Denis? Her neighbouring headstone may give us some insight into this. Joseph Charlesworth died in 1864, and his headstone reads simply, "He loved all men equally." Taking a look at the history of Joseph, you will learn that he lived at a location known as Old Harry Fen. While inspecting this location, you will discover a letter stating the following: $200 reward. Ran away from the subscriber on the night of August 17th, a man who calls himself Curtis Royal. He is a stoutly male, about 27 years of age, and 5 feet 9 inches in height. He wears his hair combed, and upon his body are several old marks of the whip. His countenance is rather sullen, and when spoken to, he answers quickly. I will give the reward of $200 for the apprehension and return of said boy to the Rhodes Jail or my property at Shady Bell, Scarlet Meadows, in the state of Lemoyne. Joseph Charlesworth, April 28, 1859. It clearly proves that Mr. Charlesworth was a slaver who had placed a bounty for the return of an escaped slave. But what does this have to do with his grave being next to that of Agnes Stout? Around the 1860s, slavery was barely a way of the world anymore, and any former slavers were now considered to be dishonourable people. It would seem that because Joseph Charlesworth was deemed unfit to lay with the rest of society's deceased, he was laid to rest away in an entirely different location, the swamps. And after Agnes Stout would commit the murder of her family, she too would be seen as unfit to be laid with her fellow townsfolk, therefore receiving the same treatment as her neighbour, the former slaver. Thank you all for watching today's video. You've been listening to Phil. If you wish to get in touch and let me know of any tales you'd like for me to cover, you can find me over on Instagram. That's at PhilBGaming, or simply, you can use the comment section provided. If you enjoyed what you saw today, you all know what to do. I'll see you all in the next one.